Welcome to another edition of Chok Talk Uganda, the Educators Dialogue. I am Lilian Namala, your host, and today in studios I have wonderful guests. I'll allow them to introduce themselves.
Thank you so much, Lilian, for welcoming me to the talk show. It's always a pleasure to be part of this edition. I'm Elizabeth Akwe, your educator, a passionate youth mentor, a writer, an advocate of girl-child empowerment, and I'm committed to ensuring that there is a brighter future for the next generations.
Okay, thank you so much. This is not the first time we have our own set, and we're glad that you made it back. We're going to have a new gentleman on our set. He's going to introduce himself.
Thank you, Lilian. It's a pleasure being here. My name is Simla, and I'm a seasoned educator with several years of experience in the class and outside the class. I'm so passionate about education, especially in areas of student leadership, in areas of positive discipline, and in areas of professional development. That's briefly me.
Wow, thank you, Noah, for sharing an insight. Knowing that you have great experience in student teaching, I would like us to dive into what the topic today is. What is holistic education? We hear the term being used, schools advertising that we offer holistic education. I would want us to break it down. What is our understanding of holistic education? I would start with the lady.
Oh, thank you so much. That's a great question. So, in my opinion, holistic education is an approach that comes out to mold the learner in three aspects: the cognitive, the psychomotor, and the affective. And in that, I simply mean that this learner should receive all the training, if it's hands-on, if it's values, and if at all they are to also have the knowledge that they apply. So it does not only look at the knowledge, but it delves also in the social, emotional, spiritual, and other spheres of life.
Thank you so much for your definition. Now we know what holistic education is, that it's not just about knowledge, but rather one that impacts the mind, the soul, and the spirit. So can we also have a definition from our dear gentleman here?
Okay. Thank you, Lilian. I usually define holistic education using one word, or two, or three. That's the education for wisdom, in my view. And this kind of education encompasses three key aspects. That's the head, the heart, and the body. So that's what holistic is, in my view.
Okay, so you are talking about the body, the heart, and the mind. How practical is the integration of all these things in the learning process?
Okay.
Would you mind breaking it further for us?
Yeah, I will break this down further. So I'll start with the head. You know, the head that's our central faculty. That's the central nervous system of all that we do. And so when we go to school, we are expected to get as much knowledge in our heads. But knowledge alone does not define real education. Real education should be complemented by the heart. We are parts of a human society, and all that we do is to better this human society. And the betterment of the human society is something that requires us to use our heads, it requires us to use our bodies, and it requires us to have hearts that feel. Otherwise, if we do not have this, then we are very likely to have very intelligent robots that are not capable of feeling what others feel. So they will get the job done, but this will be in vain. So to me, that's what this is how these three complement each other.
Okay. Thank you so much for that insight. And going back to the fact that you're an administrator before, I would we would like you to, okay, how would you empower teachers to fulfill this in their practice?
Yeah, first of all, the empowerment needed to be something external. The empowerment needs to be something internal. First, the teacher must be passionate about building this learner. This should not be a teacher who is forced into practice. You see, usually asked a question, what do you teach?
Okay.
And I've always responded to people, I teach students.
What do you teach students?
I use tools, subjects as tools. I use skills as tools. I use knowledge as tools. Because the end game is sharpening this learner. So if the teacher does not feel this into them, that I am adding onto the life of this learner, then it's hard for you to nurture them into this holistic learning and educating of this learner. So it has to first, the passion has to come from inside, then it grows on the outside. So first of all, for example, if you're speaking about the heart as a teacher, you must show this through action. The students must be able to see you doing this.
Okay.
They must
Is
be
that,
able to feel.
the practice what you preach?
Practice what you're preaching.
Okay, that's good.
Then, secondly, if you're speaking of the head, you see, teaching is something that requires you to be really very knowledgeable. You shouldn't be an encyclopedia of sorts, but you should be very knowledgeable because you are going to pour into learners, and you don't expect to pour from an empty cup.
Wow.
So you have to be, first of all, filled, then you pour into them, then you work with them hands-on, then they must see your heart in it.
Okay.
This is when learning holistically can happen. Yes.
Wow. As Noah has mentioned, that we need to teach the heart and the mind at the same time, as well as the body. And as we're doing this, we need to walk the talk. So please, let's engage our next speaker, who is going to tell us on how do we foster this in our educational system.
It's very easy for us to actually integrate the holistic learning or education in our education system. Because if we are to look at how can the teacher be empowered to be able to be one who produces a holistic product, so that can be achieved through trainings, professional development trainings, where we have the teachers having refresher courses on how to integrate all these spiritual, social, emotional aspects into the curriculum, not forgetting the instructional or pedagogical methods that they are meant to use in order to engage the learner and ignite them to achieve or to develop their talent. So the other issue is, how can every stakeholder come onto board? Because if the teacher needs the training, then how about the policymakers? What are they saying about it? What is the Ministry of Education saying? What are the boards in the different schools or the school management committees doing to support this teacher who ends up being the implementer of this holistic education? Of course, the parents are supposed also to come in by supporting with either material, monetary, or non-monetary material. And the other way that we can be able to foster this is by giving out as much beneficial information to the teacher, to the public, to whoever is engaging with this learner, right from the household to the school, out in the environment. And that is how we can be able to nurture and have this holistic education.
Okay, thank you so much. I just have a quick one.
Yes.
Given the context that I am teaching in a less privileged school, where I myself, I did not achieve the holistic, just like Noah had told us that we need to pour. You need to pour from a full cup. So what are we going to do about that? I'm coming from a context where I did not achieve this. I was not taught this.
Yes.
And now I have to pour from an empty cup. So what practical strategies would you give me or give the teacher out there to be able to give out the holistic education that we are talking about?
Okay, thank you. Knowledge is not acquired in a vacuum. And anything that you want to learn, you reach out for. So in this, we should have collaborative communities in which teachers are able to meet and share the different good practices in which we can have holistic education. If I'm from a school or a system actually that did not equip me with the holistic education, it did not tap into the 3 domains, then I should be in position to share with those who have the privilege of learning, so that I'm able to spread out and then, for instance, ignite a candle somewhere. So it can be still done through community workshops, collaborations, and I think that's how far we can go.
Okay, thank you. As you can see, viewers out there, it calls for collective effort and to make sure that we look out for the knowledge that we need. Please join the conversation as we are diving into holistic education. Leave a comment on our social platforms, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, all Chok Talk Uganda. Please leave a comment. Let's continue into the conversation here. You have highlighted how holistic the system is and how achievable it is. What are the benefits that a student can derive from this nature of learning?
First, I would love to say that education in its holiness should be able to integrate somebody into society. And education is supposed to be something that improves humanity. So if somebody gets holistic education, then I believe that this is somebody who will be able to function well as a member of the human race. So that's the general benefit to me of this kind of education.
Just a follow-up. Is there a way we have fallen short as human beings?
Yeah, we've done.
In relation to the holistic kind of learning?
Yeah, well, we've done so in a lot of ways. For example, when you look at what we call education currently, you'll see that we produce people that are very skilled, people that are very knowledgeable, but people that are very devoid of feelings. I'll give you an example. When you get to our hospitals, you'll find that we have some of the most skilled medical professionals, very knowledgeable, but you find these acting in such a way as though it were robots that are treating people. They will not care. They don't feel this humanness in their work. They will do the work to get it done. When you see some of the lawyers we have and all that, you've seen this. They know the law. They speak it from their fingertips. But these are people that are devoid of feelings. You lose a case, that's another bad that court, sorry, another client comes in. So we have half education.
So that's a great insight that people are becoming robots. And from there, it becomes a crisis in our society. So just again, still under the benefits, looking at the benefits of this nature of learning. Elizabeth, how best can we integrate the well-being of a learner, the mental stability, and of course, the values in our education system?
Thank you. Like I said earlier, that if we are to achieve holistic education and to achieve a product that is a product of holistic education, then I believe that we should educate the heart.
Okay.
When we educate the heart, which talks about values, then it is easy to impart knowledge. It is easy for us to deal with the skill. Because one prolific writer quoted it and said, educating the heart without educating the mind is no education at all. And that surely takes me back to what Noah here was talking about, like how have we fallen short? When you analyze how things are going on, whether nationally, regional, or at international level, there is this vice corruption. And it is orchestrated by the human being. But if you're human and you have been able to address the needs of the affective, which is the heart, values, then you will question why you would be involved in corruption. So you find that with this, it begins right from home. Like the Englishman states, that charity begins at home. So I think it should begin at home. And then we can be able to achieve it in the learning centers, in our learning environments, our social, our different people that we interact with on a daily.
Do you mind explaining further for our parents out there in their role in endeavoring to make sure that holistic education is integrated within the homes? Are there any practical examples you can give to help the parent out there?
Yes. For instance, if you are a parent, can we be interested in the lives of the children that we bring into this world? Give them time. Let us nourish their spirituality. Because if we are going to tell them about what is required from them in terms of a spiritual being, and then if we are going to teach them about what they should do to their neighbors, of course, I'm getting back to what do the major commandments say? Love your neighbors, you love yourself. You get it? So you find that, dear parent, ensure that your child has spiritual nourishment, that you also take them on and tell them that, yes, it is very good for you to be brilliant academically, but then it is also important that that brilliancy is integrated with values. Of course, not forgetting the cultural aspect, where we have cultural practices and traditions that can support the behavior and discipline and growth and development of a child in any society.
Wow. Thank you so much for that insight. Parents, you've had. Remember our saying that a child is raised by an entire village. So let's take part in this holistic learning of our learners. But before we come to the conclusion of our discussion, I would want us to spell out or give the clear examples of what holistic programs should look like in schools.
Thank you again, Lilian. In my view, holistic programs should be collaborative. So if, for example, we say as a school, we are a holistic school, then that could be a lie. Because when we look at education, we know very well that education is not something for the school alone. It's not something for the child alone. Education is something for the parent as well. So holistic education is continued education. Schools will build onto that which the family has built. So you start by nurturing your child right from home. The kind of values that you see are community values. These are the well-expected standards. So the school builds onto this with knowledge and skills. Then the child also has a part to play in this holistic learning. Because if you expect me as a teacher to be a curriculum for your child, I expect your child to show this holisticness in this education as well, to be this product that we've built together. So the three of us. So I believe that if we have these programs that bring these three together, no matter what name is given to each of them, but as long as the three stakeholders are involved, I believe this can bring out holistic education.
Okay. Offhead, thank you so much. Offhead, do you have a program in school that can help explain this better?
Yeah, we do have one of these programs, although it's not a one-time program.
Okay.
It's a program that we have which runs from the time the learner enters school up to the time the learner gets out of this school. So this is a program which puts together mentorship, a program which puts together discipleship, and a program which puts together the school-based knowledge and skills acquisition. So within the same school, we have several stakeholders. And because some of our parents are very absent and some are very busy, we found a way of replicating the role of the parent. So we've not put the child in a boarding school, but we have this child in a replica of a family. And we have people that are able to pour into this child and to create a human.
In your opinion, Elizabeth, what do you think are some of the practical examples within our school systems that demonstrate holistic education learning?
Oh, there are quite many, but I'll point out that different extracurricular activities that we have in different schools. For instance, music, dance, and drama, sports and games, clubs, all those are part of holistic education. And you'll find that in different schools, if you want to have holistic education, you should consider some of those. Of course, there are challenges that come with them, for instance, the affordability, but I think that can be walked through.
Actually, I love her insight into this bringing in the co-curricular activities. I know I have known students that have been held just by a thread because of either engagement in MDD or engagement in football or any other sport, and this has really tied them into school. These could be dropouts in school, and this is one part where they believe, okay, this is my specialty. I get to learn through this, and everything else that you want to impact onto them, I've seen this go through the co-curricular so easily for these learners. So I love that part there.
And just like Noah is emphasizing, we need to appreciate that we are all gifted differently. So every individual in this planet has a special gifting or talent. So if one learner is gifted academically, then we must appreciate that another one could be gifted in an area of extracurricular activity. We have seen people not excelling academically, but they excel in swimming, and they are up there, they are raising the flag. We have people who are not gifted in numericals, but they are very talented in the arts industry. They can act, they can sing, they can dance. They are creatives per se. So I think that if schools are to embrace holistic education, it shouldn't be only in academia. It should be extracurricular activities coupled with spirituality, coupled with, and name it, whatever it is, provided the learner can thrive within their sphere and be able to impact this world.
Elizabeth, allow me to interject. I'm asking, given the nature of our assessment system, do you think this holistic nature of learning has been assessed as well?
I would say yes. Right now that we are in a transition, if I'm to look at Uganda's education system, before it was more characterized with rote learning, grading in terms of assessments with who has a distinction in which area, learning area. But right now, I think we are moving towards that point where we feel that a learner should be appreciated in whatever assessment areas where they can be able to excel. So if I'm to tell you about something that we call the continuous assessment item,
Okay.
Commonly known as CAI in schools, I think that item addresses such, because if a learner can also be assessed orally, because we have students who cannot write, but they can express themselves orally and still be A+ students. So I think that as we gravitate towards this new competence-based curriculum, then we are addressing actually the issue of holistic education.
Lillian, if I may say something, you see, that's a very intriguing question that I had here. Is our system assessing this? Yeah, I would say the system has already assessed us, even outside the exam system. When, for example, you look at the world, because we are preparing these students for the world has knocked out everyone else that it feels like is not worth it. So these have become the unemployables. You see, we have people with so much very nice grades that are very low on the heart, very low on the skill. The world has kicked these ones out. So the world has assessed us practically. And it has pulled in those, it feels like, okay, these, we believe, received holistic experiences right back in school. So my answer in addition to her is yes, the system has assessed us.
And of course, I think we are away from stars who can't think. We are looking for stars who can think, do, and create.
Wow. As you can see, you've heard from the experts themselves. They're saying they are looking for stars who can do and execute. So before we close the conversation, they're going to close us with just a word of encouragement to the administrators out there, to the policymakers, to the learners themselves, and to the parents, because this calls for collaboration. So what do you have to say to our viewers out there?
Thank you. I wouldn't say a last word per se. I would say last sentences per se.
Okay.
So, dear administrators and the communities around us, let's embrace holistic learning. I know it's expensive, it's as if it's not achievable, but it is doable. So, and I'll quote words from some famous writer who says, education is what remains behind when everything else is gone. That's your education. So, holistic education will remain back. Everything else will be schooling and it will be gone. Thank you.
Wow. That's beautiful. Elizabeth, do you have last sentences?
Of course.
For the audience?
Dear parent, dear learner, dear educator, dear community leader, my message to you is that embrace holistic education, because today, globally, we are looking for a holistic learner. We are looking for a holistic product. And if we can get there, think, do, and act. That is where we want to be.
Wow. Thank you so much, our panelists today. It has been an insightful conversation in regard to holistic learning and holistic education. Please be reminded that it is the heart, the mind, and the body. Yes. So thank you so much, our viewers out there. Let's continue the conversation on our social platforms, on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all Chalk Talk UG. Thank you so much, our panelists.
You're welcome.
I'm your host, Lilian Namala. See you next time.